I think the hops and beer are a growing industry because someday everyone's going to try it. I think that's what really puts us on the map. Like, one thing that drives people here is our food and our beer, mostly our beer. I'm here at the Rising Sun Farm, and I'm going to interview Glenn Fuller, learn a little more about hops farming. Glenn, how do you grow hops?
Well, they're a perennial that comes up every year. They're a perennial plant that has an annual vine, and they go up an 18-foot trellis system. We tie them up every year onto ropes, and at times they'll climb up to a foot a day. And this is the finished product here. These are Chinook hops, and hops are primarily used in brewing. They add the aroma and bitterness to beer, and also add a lot of antimicrobial properties, which is one of the main reasons that they started using hops, besides the flavoring, is they aided in the storage of beer. And you can smell these and smell how sweet they are.
Yeah, they do smell sweet.
And there's lots of different aromas. Now, if you take just this much and put it in your mouth, you'll notice something totally different. It'll get real bitter, and it'll end up not tasting like it smells at all.
That tastes horrible.
Bitter. So this is the end result. We put them in bales, and we use this Wolf hop picking machine out here to harvest the hops. And what else?
Could you genetically modify hops in any way?
I'm sure you could genetically modify anything, but these are not genetically modified hops. And no one that I know in the world has genetically modified hops, and there'll never be any GMO crops or hops here on this farm because we're 100% organic.
How many local brew houses do you give hops to?
Well, we go to Revolution Brewing, Left Hand Brewing, Elevation Brewing, Nano 108, and various other Coors Colorado Native, and various other small breweries around the country.
Do you ever get tired of what you're doing here?
Never. Well, I get tired at the end of the day, and I get tired at the end of a season, but no, I really thoroughly enjoy it.
Would you like to make your business bigger, or would you like to have it stay small?
Maybe just a little bigger here. I have some other land that's cleared for hops, so maybe just a little bigger on the hops, and there's some other things I need to expand on, the vegetables and that. But, you know, we're at a pretty good size. With another few acres of hops, that'd be about as big as we want to get here.
I went to talk to Mike King, and he told me how they grind the hops down into a fine paste or powder, and then they put them in the beer, and it makes it taste sweet and nice and fragrant. And then they ship it out to Revolution Brewery, where you can go in, sit down, and enjoy a nice big pint of beer. Mike, what are the main steps for making beer?
Well, as far as agriculture goes, you need to grow the barley or the other grains, and then you germinate and malt them. So you make them fat with sugar, and then you cook them up so that they're stable. And then brewing essentially is getting the sugar out of those grains, and we dissolve it in the water and make it ready for yeast to chow down.
Thanks. And here's another question. Mike, have you ever grown hops?
Yeah, when I lived in Fairbanks, Alaska, I used to grow a lot of hops. But the thing with Fairbanks, Alaska is they get very huge, but then they freeze to death before they're ripe to collect. So it's all about decoration, not about brewing.
How do you grow hops? What are the main steps for growing hops?
You know, that's the thing. As a brewer, I appreciate hops a great deal, and I respect the folks who know how to do it. But I spend my time, working on getting the sugar out of the grain, and hops growing is left to the folks who do the farming. And that's a full-time job of its own and a lifetime to be an expert at.
How do you make most of the sodas?
We make our sodas by grabbing local fruit, and essentially I use as much fruit as I need to get a good flavored soda. And you pasteurize it and carbonate it and put it in the kegs, which is why we don't sell it in cans, because it's a very expensive way to make soda. And the fact is that you couldn't really make soda to sell at the grocery store the way we do, because we really just make fruit juice carbonated and pasteurized.
Why did you choose Paonia to start your company?
I lived in Alaska, like I was saying, and we had a little boy, and this is a very good place to raise a little boy. And the water is fantastic. And I was born in Georgetown, Colorado, which is a super tiny town on the other side of the Continental Divide. So the fit was just right at the right time.
One more question. Mike, how do you like living in Paonia? Like, how does it help your company with hops?
Well, Paonia and hops is fantastic because this small community has 2 hops farms. So that is a brilliant... and the fact is there weren't 2 hops farms when we got here. So this has been a really nice evolution of the community. And living here is fantastic. It's important when you sell something here to understand that it's a very small town. So what we've been doing for 5 years is growing enough that we also can sell our beer over the Western Slope. And now we can serve Paonia as best we can, and also we can rely on a larger community to actually pay the bills and stuff like that. Because again, the challenge is for any business here, 1,500 people working on the wages we all work.
Thank you for your time,
Indeed.
Mike.
Got to have my coffee when I wake up in the morning. Got to have my tea.
When I turn 21, I want to know my beer. I want to know the good ones from the bad ones.